you have to be a student of the business. You have to understand how the business operates, what drives the business, what's a detractor from the business. I think that's an enabler to make you a really strong HR professional. If you spend time studying the business and in your team, expect that of your team as well, you'll have a pretty successful HR career and HR team if you have that ops mindset, that ops focus that really understands what drives whatever business you're in.
Donnie, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Chris. Appreciate the invite and happy to be a guest on the show.
Yeah. I know I said it to you before, but I'm saying it again. I'm a big fan. Big fan of the brand. Even my daughter, I told her today that I'm interviewing someone for Wingstop, and she was very excited.
I like that. We appreciate that. Tell her we love her back.
Yeah, as well. And it's been incredible, and I know we're going to get into this, how quickly the brand came onto the market and became so well established. I've never seen anything like it, if I'm being honest. Out of nowhere, almost.
Well, it's really a testament to our flavor fans, right, across the globe. But yeah, excited to talk about the journey for sure.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about your journey. Tell everyone a bit about your background and your journey to where we are today.
Yeah. So I've been in HR over 20 years, which is really crazy to say out loud, but I grew up, kind of working retail in high school and then through college, and then got an opportunity to take an entry-level role as a recruiter. That was my first job. It was called staffing coordinator back then, but that was my first job in HR. And I was doing retail recruiting for a convenience store retailer in the Southeast. And then really my career just took off from there. Had the ability to take on additional responsibility, different leadership levels, different roles across the Southeast, and just really enjoyed not only having the ability to attract the right talent, but being able to ensure that folks are in the highest and best use and in the right roles. And so curating talent has always been a passion of mine. And just been blessed with opportunities to grow and excel and learn. I would say I've learned a ton over my time in the space, but really enjoy, again, like just the talent aspect of it, helping organizations scale, grow, attract the right talent, retain the right talent, and be able to put the talent in the best and highest position for them to grow and excel. So. And then I've been at Wingstop now for 7 years. I started with just an HR scope and over my time here have gained additional responsibilities. So today I lead the teams that help train for new restaurant openings, help train new team members, build the content of training as well. So we have a content house where we build all of training in-house. Also lead the team's guest experience as well. So think about how we take care of our guests if they've had a great experience, then if they don't have a great experience, how we help recover them. And then I lead our corporate restaurant portfolio. We have 47 restaurants in Dallas and Las Vegas. And so I help drive the operations in those 47 restaurants.
Amazing. So you have the franchise, but you own those ones as a...
We do, yeah. So we're about 2,800 restaurants today. And outside of those 47, the remainder of those are all franchise. And we call those brand partners, but they're all franchise restaurants. And we're in 15 countries across the globe. So.
Amazing. Yeah. And you're fully established here in the UK.
We are. Yeah. It's an exciting market for us, and we continue to grow that market. Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. What was it about, what attracted you to Wingstop? Just out of curiosity.
It's funny. I get asked that question a lot, and the same things that attracted me over 7 years ago remain true today, and that is the opportunity for growth for the brand, the white space that's in front of us. We have an amazing product, so I was a fan of the product prior to joining the brand, and then again the people. The culture here is extremely strong. We sell chicken wings. We don't take ourselves too seriously, so we've got this really fun product. that we're delivering to the guest, and a really cool culture to bring all that together. And I think that's what attracted me to the brand and what keeps me at the brand today. And then the ability to grow and learn. Like I said, I've had a lot of additional responsibilities since joining the brand, and Wingstop affords that not only for me but for our entire team member community. And so that part is really cool to be a part of.
Yeah. Scaling so fast, what has been the key sort of strategies behind scaling that quickly, but still maintaining that competitive edge, with what really makes Wingstop Wingstop in the
Yeah,
market?
yeah, for sure. I'd say our people are a competitive advantage, and we've said that it's at the foundation of our strategy, and that strategy hasn't changed in my time here. And I think that is the important piece: is you have to hire to fit your culture, you have to grow and develop to fit your culture, and then you have to have a really high level of accountability for people to live the Wingstop way and live our values. And I think that's we've been able to put a moat around it as we've scaled. But it is one of the things that we continue to, be very much so top of mind, and a priority for us is making sure we maintain that strong culture as we scale and as we grow. Like I said, we're in 15 markets across 15 countries across the globe. And so it's really important that that culture is extendable. And that's the only way that happens is by the leaders that you have in the organization who, keep the culture a priority as well.
Yeah. How does that show up in the flow of work though? Because people always talk about keeping the culture and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but practically, how does that
Yeah.
show up in the workplace and in your stores?
Yeah, I think collaboration is key. We leave our egos at the door. I think those are the really important elements. Is that we work together. Everybody wants to win as a team. We're a winning brand. We have success, a proven track record of success in winning, and everybody wants to be a part of that winning culture. And so those are the important elements. Is you've got to make sure that people put the team before themselves, and that they collaborate together, and we break down silos. I think the things that we talk about constantly, you have to make them a priority, and accountability has to be high in those areas.
Yeah. Does a lot of that come from then investing in your people managers, because really they're going to set the tone, right?
It does, right? Yeah. The manager, I always say that the GM in the restaurant is the most important position in this entire organization. If you have a really strong GM that leads from the front, a general manager that's passionate about their people and development, you're going to have a successful four walls. And so we do invest a lot into that role.
Yeah. You've mentioned
Yeah.
to me before that giving people opportunities is the most rewarding part of your job. Could
Yeah,
you
that's
share
true.
some stories that have really
Yeah.
stuck with you over the years?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 70% of our general manager population comes from someone who started front of house or back of house. So think about that. They're an hourly role today. They come in probably not knowing what they want for their future, and then they see the path to growing and building a successful career at Wingstop. And so we even have success stories where we have, senior district managers who started as a front of house team member or a back of house team member. Those examples are tremendous, where we've been able to grow talent, invest in talent, and watch them grow and take on really larger leadership roles, a lot of responsibility, much larger teams. And so I think those to me are the true success stories. And what makes Wingstop unique is that we're investing in people. And then they see the growth, right? They understand, like 2,800 restaurants. When I started with this brand, we were just at 1,000. And so they see the growth. There's positions and roles that we haven't contemplated today that we'll need a year from now or 18 months from now. And I think people get really excited about that and enthused about the amount of growth that's in front of the brand and what that means for them in their careers. And so those stories, I think, are abundant. There's a lot of examples of someone who started at, just an hourly team member and now really have an ability to lead a large team, take care of their families differently, and be able to talk about, the growth and success they've had with the brand.
Yeah. So many powerful stories, and obviously as you're scaling, have you put a system in place that you can share those stories, recognize those moments, especially as a huge portion is frontline, right? They're not in an office. How do you make sure that they still feel connected and that you can celebrate those moments and share that? Do you have some sort of platform or system of doing that, just out of curiosity?
We do. And it's something that we continue to get better at, I think, every day. But we bring the entire franchise brand partner community together. annually, and we talk about those wins and those successes. That's one venue and outlet to do that. We also obviously leverage LinkedIn to share some of those stories as well. And then we have some internal communications that we try to highlight team members that have had some of that success. So people can see that it's tangible and it's real.
Yeah.
Whether you started yesterday or you've been with the brand for 2 years or 5 years, we even have team members that worked in restaurant for 10+ years. So with that type of tenure, I think it's important to show that there's a lot of opportunity to advance and grow. And so we try to make sure we are sharing those stories across every outlet that we can to connect with the team member.
Yeah, I think it's very important, right? And it's so powerful, both for retention, both for also attracting talent. You can see those stories, right?
That's right.
Because sometimes it's difficult. You might be in a store to really see, is that actually happening?
That's right.
Are these opportunities actually real, right?
Yeah,
and I think
right.
with social media and technology and obviously our communication tools, there's such powerful outlets for us to be able to share some of those authentic stories that aren't scripted or very overly produced.
Yeah, that's
well.
right. And yeah. We even have a little in-house podcast too that we brought some of those team members on. Wanjiro, who's one that I can think about off the top of my head, who has been a guest on the podcast, and she got an opportunity to really share her story, which was real and tangible. People can touch and feel it, right? So we try to do that as much as we possibly can.
That's incredible. I've actually recommended that to a few companies as well. Like DHL actually have a podcast hosted by their global HR executive, Lindsay. Shout out Lindsay if you're listening. And they actually share that across all platforms, even like Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah.
And they use
Same
that as
for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Amazing as well. And what they found is employees in their warehouses and distribution centers are listening to the show. And getting updates about the business through their podcast.
Yeah.
And it's a medium that they already have. Like, don't try and pull them to you. They already use YouTube. They already use Spotify.
That's right.
Meet them where they're at. And she even mentioned to me there's a few people that they've hired that mentioned that they applied for the role because they heard the podcast.
Yeah,
which is
I've had that happen a ton. Yeah, I've had that happen a ton. People say, "Well, I've listened to your podcast, and I get a real feel for the culture based on the podcast." So it's helped from a recruiting perspective for us as well. The name of the podcast is Say That Podcast by Wingstop. So go check it out if you haven't already.
Oh, I'm glad we didn't plan on talking about that, but I'm glad we mentioned that. And for anyone listening, I'm going to link it below. So whatever platform you're on, make sure you do that. And I think that's I think also I'm assuming you have quite a young demographic.
We do.
Right? So something like a podcast is really going to resonate.
That's right, because to your point, they're already in these platforms, right? They're already using and leveraging podcasts today. So I think it's a good way to connect and that people are already familiar with. And they don't have to go, they don't have to try too hard, right? You can on your way into work or while you're working out, et cetera. So I think, you have to meet the team member where they are. And that's what we try to do.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about we don't take ourselves too seriously, and I've noticed that in your marketing and your branding, even the adverts that I've seen, and it's super fun to do that. But obviously, there is a serious side in terms of the development, which you mentioned earlier. How do you do that? Because I've always, a lot of times frontline workers have been neglected in terms of their learning and development because it's quite challenging, right? They're obviously on their feet, they're working all day. Where do you make space for that? So you're developing a lot of, you mentioned some numbers earlier of how many leaders you've developed. How are you doing that? What does that look like?
Yeah, you have to be super intentional. And then we just talked about meeting team members where they are. I think you have to, if anything that's a learning element, it has to be in video format. It has to be micro sessions. It has to be engaging. You have to have gamification. Like all those things are really important along with the hands-on, right? A lot of it is hands-on leadership that they're getting in restaurant. Their situational leadership where they're having to, have a difficult conversation with a team member or maybe even a guest. And so they have that hands-on interaction and development. But anything that you do that you're pushing learning to them, it has to be in the way in which they want to learn. And that's, micro videos, micro segments. It has to be engaging, and you have to leverage technology to do that. And so that's the way in which we try to, again, meet them where they are and provide outlets for them to grow and learn.
Yeah. I think that's so important. Just because I know so many people listening have a similar challenge, though, is this a mobile experience? Do you have something on
It
site in the
is.
store? Do they have an app?
It is.
Okay.
We have an app. We have iPads in the store or tablet in the store, and that store, and we try to do it prior to shift start. That's our kind of sweet spot, if you will, because once the
Of
restaurant
course.
starts getting busy, it's out the door, right? And we're realistic about that. We also have a tracking accountability element of it too. So we have a scorecard in which we measure the operations of the restaurant, and a piece of that scorecard is a development portion. And so we make it really important and priority, top of mind for not only our brand partners, but also the managers in the restaurant. And I think if you make it a priority, you make it important, and then it'll be important to the team member as
I
well.
love that. And I love the fact that you can then get that consistency across restaurants in terms of
That's right.
the quality, right?
That's right.
As well. Is there also career opportunities presented in the same way, like a sort of in terms of internal roles or sort of a talent marketplace element? Like how do they find out about potential opportunities? How do you communicate that?
Yeah, yeah. I think the way in which that happens is it's a pretty vertical tree to climb in the restaurant, and so that is front of house, back of house team member to then shift lead to then assistant general manager to then general manager and then above restaurant leadership. And so I think that's really evident to team members. And to your point, right? They say, "Oh, I work alongside Chris. Chris just got promoted to shift lead. I see how what it takes to do that is very visible and tangible to me." And so that encourages, that inspires, and that's how we start to build that talent pipeline.
Yeah, I love that. I know another important element to this, which I don't think like we talk about enough, is about giving back to our communities.
Yeah.
Right, because those are the people that you serve. Those are actually those are your employees in many cases, right? To talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's really important to us to give back in the communities in which we operate in, and we partnered with St. Jude. And we've partnered with No Kid Hungry, both two organizations that we're really passionate about, that are making a broader impact across the U.S. And so I think it's really important for us to make sure team members know that it's important and part of what we do, but also providing an outlet in which to do that. And for those that can't give back financially, we encourage giving back with time, which I think is it's a currency, right? And so another really important part of what we do. And so we try to make sure there's a balance of both and have an ability to give back in numerous ways. And then we also ask our flavor fans, our guests, to participate in those opportunities as well, to impact the community also. And so I think just providing outlets in which to do that and beating that drum continuously, but it is a critical part of who we are.
Yeah. You need to do like on your podcast, like a flavor fan of the week segment. You need to
we should.
That'd be really cool. Like a recognition, a recognition.
Maybe I'll have you on.
Yeah, yeah, I could be a flavor fan, but that's what I mean. It can be internally and externally. Like that's what I mean. Like you have a flavor fan of the week. But that could also be a recognition moment, right? It could be
100%.
Something in that, and have that. So you call everyone is that what you call employees, like flavor fans? Is that?
We call it team member. We call them team members.
Team members.
But flavor fans are our guests. Yeah.
Oh, they're your guests. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So your customers, because I have to get used to.
That's right.
I'm not used to guests, but of course in your industry I completely get it as well. But yeah, like. A flavor fan would be a really cool of the week type thing.
I like that. That means I need to shoot more content. I need to get.
Yeah. Well, I've seen your productions. You've clearly got a good team. So I've seen what's happening. How would you say working at the organization has transformed you personally as a leader?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, I've grown a tremendous amount. I think as leaders, we want to have a sphere of control. And I think the best thing a leader can do is hire really smart people and get out of their way, right? And remove obstacles for them. I think be a conduit for them to get the work done and have really good outcomes. So for me, it's been really about allowing people to lead, allowing people to fail fast, giving people the space in which to learn and be developed. I think that's been the number one lesson is really being able to hire really strong people, give them the right tools to be successful, and then get out of their way and let them run.
Yeah. No, I mean, I learned that the hard way as a leader. I feel like naturally when you first become a leader, you feel like your job's to solve all the problems.
That's right.
And then you become the bottleneck.
That's right. 100%.
But it's putting that to one side, right? And kind of bringing the best out of people and supporting them. And a lot of times that means us taking a step back and putting the trust in those individuals. This is why we hired them.
Yeah, that's right. And it's hard, Chris. Don't get me wrong. It's hard, right? Because you've been praised, you've excelled, because you've been a problem solver, because you've made all the decisions. But as you grow as a leader, you understand like the less and less amount of decisions you make, probably the better your team is performing.
100%.
And so I think that's the key to really leading is allowing your team the freedom to create, to innovate, to solve problems, and then they can pull you in, obviously, when it's needed, but it's really about allowing them to be successful and be at their very best.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest shifts for me, going from being a high-performing individual contributor to a servant leader. Was something I wasn't ready for.
Yeah.
and in my previous company, like many actually, it's just because you're high performance individual contributor doesn't mean you're going to be a great leader. You need training.
That's 100%
you need help.
true.
And I was just most people like me were just thrown into the seat and said, "Good luck." Like not much training and development.
That's right.
But listen,
I think also a key to that too is like you've got to be really honest with people and give them really clear feedback and actionable feedback. I think as leaders, we typically shy away from the difficult conversations, and I think the really good leaders hit those head on, and people appreciate you for it. They may not like what you're saying in the moment, but they'll reflect and really appreciate you taking the time to invest in them and be really direct, and that's been my approach. And I think a lot of people will say like, yeah, he's direct, but he's fair and he's honest. And so I think those are really important pieces about, growing as a leader. Like you have to be able to give that to your team, and that's how they grow. That's how they excel. And that's how you get better outcomes.
Yeah. I also realized later on that you're robbing them that opportunity if you don't give the feedback.
100%.
Right. So you think you're doing them a favor, but you're not. You're just being selfish. Because you don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation.
That's right. That's right.
So you can say, and then again, it's not easy. Let's just be clear on that. But I think what we found here at HR Lead is a healthy balance of radical candor, but combined with leading with empathy.
That's right.
So you need that combination. You can still be direct and still be empathetic at the same time. It doesn't.
I think that you have to build trust too, right? It's about building trust, and if you have that trust, I think people will assume positive intent, and I think that's the key to having that breakthrough conversation, right?
Are you literally? I was about to say assume positive intent. We say that all the time. As something that we say all the time in our meetings, or someone joins the business, I always say, listen, whenever you're getting feedback or you're having a conversation that feels maybe a bit uncomfortable, assume positive intent, because we do have a culture here of radical candor. And moving fast and quickly, and that's something that some people are not very used to. So
that's right.
And most of the time that person's saying that because they want the best for you, they want the best for the business, the best for the team, and it doesn't mean it's a personal attack. Right?
That's right. And at the end of the day, I just want to win. Like that's what it's about. It's about winning, right? And so I think the team understands that, and they know that. But it takes time to build that trust.
I had an employee, I've told this story before, but I'll say it quickly, that joined us not too long ago. And we had our Monday morning meeting where the whole team comes in, and someone was sort of challenging the strategy that I was laying out, saying, I disagree, Chris. I think we should go this direction. And the new employee took me into a meeting and was like, I cannot believe that person challenged you as a CEO and and said that you were wrong in front of the whole room. And I was like, that's what I want you to do. They were in shock. They were literally in shock. I was like, well, this is why I hired you, for your expertise and knowledge, right? I may be the CEO and founder, but doesn't mean I have the answers. And they were like in shock, because clearly they came from an organization where it was very much I don't even want to say it, but they didn't have great leaders. Let's just say that in that way as well. But listen, before I let you go, I want to jump into our quickfire round. At this point, I'm going to tell the video editors to put a fiery chicken wing come up and have it on fire.
Okay.
I don't know if I can make that happen with our editing team, but we'll try right now.
We believe in them. I believe
Yeah,
in
I
them.
believe we'll figure it out. JC, if you're listening. So you got like 30 seconds per question. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Yeah. What are your hobbies and passions outside of the office?
Family, family. I spend a lot of time away from home, so it's about deposits when I'm home. I say life, you need more deposits than withdrawals, so I'm always trying to get deposits
Ooh,
with family.
I love
Yeah,
that one. I'm going to use
I
that.
just dropped the gem on you, Chris.
Yeah, I know. That's a good one. I mean, my coach told me one time, no amount of success at work makes up for failure in the home.
That's right. That's
Right.
true.
And that stuck with me forever
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah.
As well. All
That's
right.
the bar.
Yeah, it's a good one. Right? It's probably better than what I just said. He probably said it a lot better than I did, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah, that's good.
If you could click your fingers and change one thing about HR, what would you change?
I think it needs to be more operational and less tactical. And so when I hire a team, when I bring people onto the team, I want business leaders first, HR practitioners second.
Yeah, I love it. What do you think that your family and kids would think you do for a living? If you ask them.
My girls think I'm a manager, so that's
Fair enough. They're
Yeah.
pretty good.
yeah.
What legacy do you want to leave behind for them?
Yeah, I think it's really important. So I'm a girl dad, and so I think it's really about making sure they are set up for success and whatever it is that they want to do in life. And so it's about instilling confidence in them, so then they can go out into the world and do whatever it is that they want to do, which I believe they all will do. But it's making sure they have that head start, right, and are set up for success. And so to me, I think that's really important. That's really critical.
Amazing. If you wasn't in
Right now, my
sorry.
youngest daughter said she wanted to keep when she gets married, she wants to keep my last name, and so to me, that's legacy right there.
That's amazing. Well, that's going to be an interesting conversation with her husband
It
down
will,
there.
it will. She's saying that right now at 7. So
My daughter's also 7 as well. If you wasn't in HR, what do you think you'd be doing?
Interesting question. Leading people. At the end of the day, I think that's what I enjoy the most. So, regardless of capacity, role, job, company, leading people.
What would you say is the biggest misconception people have about you?
People think I'm unapproachable at times, which I like, really? I think title has something to do with that, but yeah, I think that's a misconception. I'm a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, they're like, HR is going to tell on us. That's not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, no worries. What would you say is the biggest investment you've made in yourself?
Life learner. You have to be a life learner. I'm learning every single day. I try to read as much as I possibly can. But the biggest investment is like never stop learning.
Yeah. What's something, and this wasn't planned part of my questions, but you just intrigued me. What's something interesting that you learned recently?
Interesting I learned recently. Well, I'm learning a ton about AI right now. Yeah, and how it can just make us all more productive, and using it for good versus like, you're hearing all the headlines where
Yeah.
no more jobs, but using it and leveraging it to be more productive and faster to the business, I think, and so that's what I'm spending a lot of time learning right now.
Yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole to go down. Who would you say is the one person in your career that's had the biggest impact?
I'd have to go father here, and I'll tell you a quick story. Is when I was probably 11, around 11 or 12 years old, we had this enormous oak tree in our front lawn, and it, just dropped leaves constantly. So I'm out there raking, and at this point it's hot. I'm from Florida, living in Florida, South Florida, and I'm probably doing a half-assed job. And my dad comes out and he says, son, regardless of what you do in life, you should be the very best at it. So if you're going to rake these leaves, I need you to be the best leaf raker that possibly lives. And so I think that it talks about like just the importance of not being outworked, And so that was my approach from then forward is no matter what room I was in, I may not be the smartest person in the room. I actually don't want to be the smartest person in the room, but you won't outwork me.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the keys to success and how I've, made it to this stage in my career, which, if you ask the 11-year-old me, I didn't even know this was possible. So I think that's one of the life lessons I think I'll keep with me and hopefully instill into my girls as well.
That's so interesting you say that, because that's one of the things I always say to my daughter as well, and it influenced me. So I think I mentioned when we first spoke before this call, my mom was a single parent raising 4 kids in the government housing, right? And I played professional competitive sports, and I remember like when I started playing ice hockey, I didn't have all the best equipment. I had all the hand-me-downs. I didn't have many advantages, but the moment we got on the ice, we were all equal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to be the best at everything I do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter my background, my experience.
That's right.
I'm not going to hold myself back based on those. And every single sport, I played ice hockey, I played table tennis, basketball, you name it.
Yeah.
And even when I went into the business, I was like, who's the best salesperson in this company? I'm sitting next to that person.
Yeah.
As well. And that kind of something that I've always pushed myself. I love that answer. And I think that's something.
I think that's great. I think that's and same. I mean, my background is, we came from nothing, right? And I saw my dad just work really hard, and so that was the example I had. Same thing. I played collegiate sports. I played basketball. I wasn't the fastest. I couldn't jump the highest, but on the court, you were not going to outwork me. And I think taking that, applying that to business, and into the boardroom, I think that's, again, really the key to success is for me has been putting in the work, and you see the fruits of your labor.
One of the things that you enjoy in the office, we have a sign that says "Seek discomfort."
Yeah,
and because that's really where the growth happens.
100%.
And if you become best friends with failure and discomfort, and it almost becomes your baseline of operating as well. And it takes time. You got to put the reps in. You got to fail forward. But it becomes the norm, and that's kind of where the magic happens as well. So listen, last question. What advice would you give to the HR leaders that tomorrow they're going to be sitting in your seat one day?
Yeah. I think it is, again, I think I said this a little bit earlier, but it's really about you have to be a student of the business, and you have to understand how the business operates, what drives the business, what's a detractor from the business. I think that's an enabler to make you a really strong HR professional. If you spend time studying the business and in your team, expect that of your team as well, you'll have a pretty successful HR career and HR team if you have that ops mindset, that ops focus that really understands what drives whatever business you're in.
Yeah. Well, listen, and at the same time, don't take yourself too serious.
Yeah, you can't
have fun at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wear sneakers to work. Yeah, right. Like,
do you know what? Since I quit my job and started this business, I haven't worn a suit in the studio once. And for 10 years, I wore a different suit every day. For 10 years, years, and people are always surprised when they come in. I'm like, we're just being who we are, and this is our authentic selves, and it's actually you get so much more energy, and
you do.
So like it's
you
exhausting.
Get more out of life when you can be yourself. You get more out of life.
Yeah, like I used to have I shouldn't say this really live on here, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like because I grew up with quite an East London accent, because I grew up in the hood of London where I lived. Yeah. Where I lived was the highest crime rate in the entire UK, literally, not even exaggerating. And when I came into the workplace, I felt like I had to talk and walk a certain way, otherwise I was like, people would say stuff like, you can't talk like that, to clients and stuff like that, and it was just exhausting. to go through that, right? And then on the other end, I was like, at a certain point, I was like, I just got to be me, and if you like it, great. If not, as well. So listen, man, I could talk to you forever, but I know I got to let you go. So thanks so much for coming on. Like, as I said, massive fan of what you guys are doing. Congratulations to you and the team. Love it, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you having me. It's been really fun.
Thanks, man.